You're just globally live right now. This is the whole world watching you right now. Anything you want to promote on your back? I give you free marketing right now for 5 seconds.
Son, I'm
I just wanted to bring her to say hi. Last time we saw you, you were getting us nikah, and now we have her.
Oh yeah, you did the nikah, right?
Yeah. This is Ayana.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her. Firm and strong on Iman.
All right, Assalamu alaikum. Let's go ahead and get started. Peace be upon you all. If you want to just go ahead and grab your seats, appreciate it. Bismillah. We begin in the name of Allah. Again, thank you all very much for accepting the invitation for our Friday Coffee with the Shaykh open question answer session. I know we moved the time up. We should just kept it at 6:15. It's already like 6:15, but it's important for us because, as you know, Shaykh Mustafa Umar, we get about once a quarter, so we wanted to make sure we can maximize on the time, inshallah, God willing. So again, thank you all very much. Shh, 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 shh. Inshallah, again, for those of you, if you're just coming in, please make sure, number one, to grab your snacks. We have really delicious sandwiches there, rolls there, some good drinks. We have coffee, you have chai, all that good stuff in the back. Again, if we can be of any assistance to anyone here, please let us know. But please make sure to grab your snacks and have a good time as well. We are honored and blessed today. We have as we say, the legend himself here today. We get him once a quarter, so I'm gonna, maximize my time with my sheikh, my mentor here. He's been a fundamental, of course, here and very important here at IIC. Some of you might remember him while his time here. Others of you, this might be your first time. Shh, 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 shh. This might be your first time, but a little bit about Shaykh Mustafa Umar. Shaykh Mustafa was here at IIC for 10 years. 10 years, right? He was the director of education and outreach. He was the director of the prison outreach. He's also the director and founder of California Islamic University. He's part of the Yaqeen Institute team. He's also an author. Many of you, when you embrace Islam, or I think most of you, you got the New Muslim kit, yeah? The really infamous blue one that we have. And we have so the two books, actually 3 books, but the 2 books that are inside that, How to Pray and Welcome to Islam, you guys remember those books? They're authored by none other than Shaykh Mustafa Umar himself for level 1, right? Yeah, give it up. Give it up. Like, yeah, so he is the autographing at the end. Should you have your books and you want to get them autographed, Sheikh Mustafa has. Actually, I was gonna have the books here just to demonstrate here. So that's level 1. Level 2, as you know, is 2 books: the New Muslim Guidebook and book, and the Life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Life of the Prophet Muhammad book, the Sirah book, is also written by Sheikh Mustafa Umar himself. So 3 out of the 4 books that we use for our mentorship program is written by this man here. May Allah reward him and bless him. I can't express to you guys enough of how much of a foundation Sheikh Mustafa has built here at IIOC, particularly within the New Muslim and the outreach program here as well, right? What you see here, a lot of it's from the fruits of Sheikh Mustafa Umar himself and other people that even came before him and alongside him that actually established a program here as well. So Sheikh, it's always an honor, man, and a privilege to have you here with me. I'm very happy. I'm excited, man. I see you and I get happy, man. And it's just an honor to have you with us. This group is growing. Of course, during your time, it was growing. the fruits that you've left and the investment that you've done in this community. I hope you see the fruits of this effort through the session here today. So may Allah bless you and reward you. Of course, for those of you that, of course, will be coming in slowly as well, and everybody online, it's an open QA. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions, or you can raise your hands here. Online, you can just drop your questions, and then I'll walk around with the mic. Again, we have till 7:30, but of course, prayer is at 7:30, so we'll probably go to about 7:20-ish, 5 minutes over. I did check with the Girl Scouts who have the event later on after us, and they said it's totally fine, so we won't get in trouble there, so we're all good to go. But again, thank you all very much. For those that are joining us, don't forget your snacks and sandwiches, coffee and hot tea. And Sheikh Mustafa, as always, it's an honor and privilege, man, and the floor is all yours. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. I begin in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Alhamdulillah, it's always a privilege and an honor to be here. I genuinely believe that this new Muslim program at IAOC is one of the best organized new Muslim programs in North America, if not in the entire English-speaking world. So alhamdulillah, and this is from the grace of Allah, and it's from the hard work of brothers like Brother Jamal, the board of IAOC, the brothers before me, Khalid Mansour, and other people who put in a lot of time and dedication, alhamdulillah. So I'm always very, very happy to be here. So even though I look very tired, I'm actually very excited, alhamdulillah. It's been a long day. But let me start by talking about a blessed time that we're coming close to. We are almost a month away from the month of Ramadan. And the month of Ramadan it's the best time of the year for a Muslim. And what makes Ramadan special is not just that we're going to be fasting. I know maybe that's why you're eating a little bit extra, because as soon as we say 1 month to Ramadan, it's okay, let me take a second sandwich. Let me take a little bit extra bag of chips because they're going to be gone soon. But you know what? Ramadan is not just about not eating and just fasting. But Ramadan is about celebrating and commemorating the Quran. And that's really what the book is about, or what the month is about. And if you, I know for a lot of you, you probably read the Quran. And if you say, what really brought you into Islam? For most people, they'll say, I just read the Quran and it was speaking to me. And I could just tell that this is the book of God. And there's something about the Quran that's very clear. It resonates with people. It makes sense. It's not the experience that people have had with other scriptures. So I've gone to other scriptures and it just seems strange and asked me to believe in weird things. The Quran is just so clear. It's so simple. It's so straightforward, and it just tells you like it is. And that's the way true religion is supposed to be from Allah. So really, when we're commemorating the book, when we're commemorating the Quran in the month of Ramadan, I know a lot of you have a personal story about how you connected with the Quran. And that's a beautiful thing, alhamdulillah. So let's prepare from now for the month of Ramadan. How do you prepare? A few things you can do to start preparing. One of them is, if you're a coffee addict, coffee with the Shaykh here, you can start cutting down on caffeine so you don't get those headaches. Would recommend that. But other than that, you can start preparing by teaching yourself. If this is your first, is this going to be your first Ramadan as a Muslim? Who, just real quick show of hands, how many this is going to be their first Ramadan for them? Okay, so we have a few people. How about second Ramadan? Whose second Ramadan is it going to be? Second? Okay, second. How about third? We got thirds. Okay, we got a few thirds. Okay, so for everybody, I highly, highly recommend that you prepare yourself in advance by learning what Ramadan is about, by revising what Ramadan is about, and by reviewing some of the things about fasting. So there's probably going to be like a fasting seminar or something like that, maybe in this masjid. You should attend that. Learn the basics, read a basic book about it, or watch some videos or something like that. And it's really important to kind of know those things. Otherwise, you're going in, but okay, I know I'm not supposed to eat, and I know I'm supposed to drink, but then there's like all these other questions that I have. I really, really advise you to, if you go on a trip, there's two types of people who go on trips. I'm leaving on a trip next week, inshallah. So there's two, Japan and Korea, inshallah. Yeah, again, yeah, second time, inshallah. So it's just a long story, but going again. So two types of people plan trips. One of them, you just go and you show up and you start looking around. You be like, okay, now what should I do now? And now you're on a time crunch and you're like, oh no, the hotels are sold out and Airbnb is, can't find a place, or, where should we go now? I don't know what to do. And you spend hours thinking and planning. And the second type of person is the one who plans in advance, and they go, let me look at the history of this country. I want to look at the culture. I want to know where cities I'm going. I want to find out all the halal food restaurants, where the zabiha or halal restaurants, in that place. And we've already got the whole list, by the way. I got a team going with me. Where's like the proper Japanese halal barbecue place and all that stuff, Korean barbecue that's halal. So there's different ways. We're talking about in Korea, Zion. I know I caught your attention, Korean barbecue. We're talking about actual real Korea. So like where are those places? You do the exact same thing in the month of Ramadan, it's going to be a totally different experience. And if you don't, you're still going to be okay. But you know what? If you plan in advance, the same way that somebody goes on a journey, the one who plans in advance and has things mapped out, and you can always make adjustments, but you have knowledge about what you're getting into. You know a few words, a few phrases, and all that stuff. Same thing. Learn a few words. Learn what the Arabic word for fasting is, so that when you come to the community iftar, and if you're wondering what's an iftar, that's one word you should know. When Ramadan comes, you should know what the Arabic word iftar is, because you might hear some Muslims that be like, hey man, we got an iftar tonight. You'd be like, a what? Iftar is the fast breaking meal. When people come together, it means fast breaking, but then they have a meal. So what's going to happen is there's some Islamic vocabulary that you should know. So there's going to be like flyers in this masjid, and they're going to say like community iftar. And if you just kind of browse through and you're like, it might be a class or something like that, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. No, it's a meal. And it means like your meal's being provided for you. So learn some of those things, learn some of the terms, learn some of the basics. And inshallah, if you're scared of fasting, this is your first Ramadan or your second Ramadan, it was tough for you last year, don't be afraid, because Allah will make it easy for you. And understand that, Islam is such a beautiful religion. It's between the two extremes. So you know what? On the one extreme, if you're sick and you have a fever and you're like barely can get out of bed, you should not fast. You're exempted from fasting and you make it up after Ramadan. But if you're on the opposite side and you're like, man, my stomach is growling, I should break my fast, right? No, that's what's supposed to happen. Fasting is supposed to be a little bit difficult. And you learn to suck it up, and you learn to be like, hey, this is what it feels like to be uncomfortable, because we live in a world where we're very comfortable with everything. Temperature drops a little bit in California, and people are like turning on the heaters and stuff like that. We're used to that. But then you go and you look at the rest of the country, and people are sitting there. They're like, someone called me from another state the other day, and they're like, how's the temperature? How's it going? Brother Samatar, always ask me, how's it going? How are things? I say, yeah, it's pretty cold over here. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's like 55, man. It's just really cold, for California. And he goes, yeah. We're at, negative 13, like negative 13. So it's like, we live very comfortable lives. And when you do that, it becomes difficult to get out of your comfort zone and be like, fasting is about discomfort. So fasting is not about harming your body. It's actually very good for your body. But at the same time, you have to come in with the mentality of, I'm supposed to be uncomfortable when I'm fasting. And when you become uncomfortable, it's actually going to help you get closer to Allah and become a better servant of Allah and become a better person, because we all need some of the experience. Anyways, that's my opening spiel, inshallah. We'll open it up for questions, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Shaykh Mustafa. I really appreciate it. So before we get over to the questions, of course, just want to remind those that are just joining us. Of course, online, you're missing out. But if you're here on site, we have halal buffalo chicken sandwiches. We have smoked turkey sandwiches here. We have your veggie rolls, snacks, chai, coffee. I want to give a big shout out to our volunteer team, week in and week out, that take time out to very nicely and gently wrap everything, get everything ready for our class. So please keep them in your du'as, your prayers, your supplications. All right, bismillah, let's go ahead and get started. So who wants to start us off with the first question? Or questions, plural, if you like that. Francisco. And of course, if you guys can kindly, as you're asking the question, just introduce yourself, your name. And of course, if you're new to Islam, how long it's been. I think it'll be really nice for Shaykh Mustafa to see our class and the growth of the class and the fruits of the effort as well, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So my question is, I was, yeah, okay, sorry. My name is Francisco, and it'll be 1 year since it's about to be 1 year since I took my Shahada this ending of Ramadan. So, alhamdulillah. Um, yeah, so my question is, when we're fasting, I read that you're like, especially on Ramadan, you're supposed to not curse, try to be as pure as possible. But say if you do curse, does that break your fast? Or
Okay.
does it ruin it?
So the question about cursing in Ramadan while fasting. So the thing is, as Muslims, we shouldn't be cursing at all, right, throughout the year. And what happens in Ramadan is that when you're fasting, you're supposed to be more aware and more conscious of not doing anything that is displeasing to Allah. So you should, if you're out before Islam, if you're like at this, and then you bring your cursing down to this in Ramadan when you're fasting, you should, if you can't eliminate it, you bring it down to this. That's what it's supposed to do. Does it break your fast so that you have to repeat your fast again? No. Does it reduce the amount of reward that you would normally get from your fast? Because you're getting rewarded while fasting. Not only is it an obligation on the one hand, but you're getting reward from Allah. If you do something like that, does it reduce your reward from Allah? Yes, it does. It does, okay? But you don't need to repeat the fast. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, by the way, people struggle with different things, right? So everyone has their own struggles. The goal is to, if you can't eliminate something, whatever it is in your life, you should try to keep on steadily reducing it. And you don't need to sit there and, Satan is going to come and whisper to you and be like, you know what? If you can't do it 100%, you might as well not do it at all. It's a black or white. It's 0 or 100%. That's not the way it is in Islam. All right. If you can try and eliminate any bad habit that you have, and sometimes it happens, just keep on working on it and don't give up, and don't think, you know what, because I'm not at 0, I might as well just go back to where I was. That's a trick that's going to come to your mind in whatever you're going through. So I'm just reminding everybody, don't ever fall into that trap.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Great question. And of course, for those of you, if you're going into your first or second or third of Ramadan, this is a great opportunity to ask those questions that you might have.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's good to see you again, and I'm so happy that you joined us.
Likewise.
So, I did hear you're going to Japan. My question is, I also am going to Japan. I decided to go to Japan to go visit my parents during Ramadan for a week. And as you might know, with the time difference, I will travel on the 20th and I will get there on the 21st, and coming back, I will come back on one day, the same day. So I know technically I don't have to fast during traveling, but if I want to fast, how would that work?
Okay. So what you do is a great question. So when you're traveling to another country and you're fasting, there's two things that come up, right? So the first thing that comes up is if you want to fast while traveling, you're allowed to do that. If it's going to be easy for you, and especially Japan, because you're kind of you're crossing the date line, right? And you're going to end in a certain time. So if you decide to fast, you always look at your current time zone. So if you're going to leave in the daytime, you start the day while fasting. So you wake up in the morning, 5 a.m., eat your, suhoor, your pre-breakfast, and then you're going to get on the plane, let's say 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. or 2 p.m., whatever it may be. It's probably going to be still daytime, right? So you start by fasting in the plane, and then what you're going to do is you're going to wait, and you're going to look at your current time zone where you are in the airplane. And you wait until you observe sunset in the location that you happen to be. If the sun sets while you're over the Pacific Ocean, you break your fast in the airplane. If it doesn't set yet and you land in Tokyo, probably Narita airport maybe, so you land in the airport, you wait until sunset comes. If it doesn't come, you arrive at your parents' home. Whenever sunset comes, you're going to break your fast. So for that specific day, you start your fast on your location and you break your fast at your current location. It's always based on current location. Now, another question arises. Let's just assume that you stayed in Japan till the end of Ramadan. Which calendar do you follow? Because it may be that in California, they're using one calendar, but in Japan, they're using a different calendar because they sighted the moon differently. So what you're going to do is you're going to always use the destination country's calendar, right? So if you stayed there and let's say you ended up fasting only 28 days total because you traveled, you're going to make up one extra day. Because in Islam, the lunar calendar has to have either 29 or 30 days. If you didn't fast the full 29 or 30 days, you need to make up one day. Okay, that's the general answer.
Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Oh, there's-
معلش أنا أتكلم بالعربي. كيف يعرف الإنسان إنه مات؟ وثاني حاجة ما يقصد بإلهاكم التكاثر.
لا أستطيع أسمع. Are you speaking Arabic, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Even if you were, I still can't understand you. الصوت غير واضح.
أوكي. كيف يعرف الإنسان هو مات؟ واحد. وثاني ألهاكم التكاثر بيقصدوا بها شنو؟
ألهاكم التكاثر؟ ما فهمت السؤال.
ألهاكم التكاثر يعني كثرت.
لكن لازم أن تستعمل منبه. نعم.
كثرت الأشياء بيقصدوا بها ألهاكم التكاثر الملابس البيوت ولا حاجة بالشكل ده.
Alright, I cannot hear a sister at all. Can someone explain?
Yeah, so she's asking what is the meaning of Alhaakum at-Takathur?
Oh, okay. So what is the meaning of so there's a surah in the Quran near the end. It's one of the shorter surahs. It's called Alhaakum at-Takathur, and what it means is the the desire to gain more and more distracts you or diverts you away from your purpose in life. So the word takathur refers to basically greediness, always wanting to have more and more, never being satisfied with what you have. So that's what that surah is about.
And her second question was, how does a person know if they died or if they passed away? How would someone know that?
Still didn't hear
The
you.
question
How
is-
would a person know if they what?
If they passed away or if they died?
How would a
would,
person know if they died?
Yeah,
Like the person who died themselves?
yeah.
How would they know?
Like, are there any signs or that indicates that your life is coming to an end?
That they're about to die or that they
Yeah.
died?
Well, leading up to the death and then after dying.
Okay. So you can never know when you're going to die for sure. There's no clear signs. In terms of after you've died, you will know. You just simply will know.
We got Shaykh Mustafa here. We got to ask him the difficult questions, Ajahn. So please fire away, Shaykh Mustafa. This is the way to ask questions. Again, just a friendly reminder, those that are just joining us, please don't forget your sandwiches. We have what's left here, of course, buffalo chicken sandwiches, your veggie sandwiches, coffee, tea. Please don't feel shy here. Grab something, please.
Jamal, buffalo chicken. Is there one in there? Okay, I'm good. Just want to make sure. You say buffalo chicken, you got me, man.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rhiannon. I think this will be my 5th Ramadan, inshallah. My question is more along the lines of being God-fearing people, and maybe that kind of turning into like a anxiety almost, or maybe you just have anxiety, but like day to day, if we're, always praying and always remembering Allah and always fearing Allah, is there a balance of fearing Allah? And is there like an unhealthy way to go about fearing Allah? I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that and help someone like me.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think a lot of people, when they hear the word taqwa, which means consciousness or awareness or fear of Allah, when you say fear, that means like you're just scared all the time, right? Is that the goal? Is that the goal is to be like afraid of Allah all the time, that you might do something wrong or be in a state of anxiety. So that's not the goal. So the important thing is to understand, what does fear of Allah really mean? So fear of Allah means, in the most basic sense, doing anything which would be displeasing to Allah. But it also means that you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, right? So like, you're supposed to be praying with concentration, on time, the correct way. And the fear is, you don't want to neglect your prayers. You don't want to be doing your prayers late. You don't want to be, not taking them seriously. So these two things come together. There's what you're supposed to be doing, and then there's the fear of doing something that is wrong and incorrect. So I think, yes, there is an unhealthy anxiety that some people have, where they become overzealous and they fall into like a panic mode, and they're like, well, what if my prayer wasn't accepted, or what if my wudu was not incorrect, or what if, and all these what ifs. And this is actually the whisper, this is a trick of shaitan. So you should not fall into the tricks of shaitan by doing a few things. Number one, focus on the idea of what is probable versus the idea of what is possible. People who fall into anxiety, they say, what if? And what ifs are, you could put a percentage on them. Is it a 20% possibility? Is it a 10% possibility? Is it a 50% possibility? Is it a 70% possibility? So scholars say that you should go with the probability and not the possibility. Probability means over 50%. Maybe if you're in 70, 80, 90%, you need to stop worrying about what could potentially might have happened if this, maybe this was in your food, and maybe this was here, and maybe you stepped on something, and that is not a healthy thing. So that's one thing you should try to recalibrate by focusing on probabilities and not possibilities. The second thing, no, I'm good. All right. Mashallah. The second thing is focus more on what you should be doing, because people have anxiety. They focus so much on what they haven't done. They should be focusing on what they should be doing. So what should you be doing? Besides the basic prayer and all of that, you should be thanking Allah. You should be appreciative of all the blessings of Allah. You should be asking Allah for forgiveness. So see, a person who has anxiety, they're focusing so much on what if I've done something wrong, rather than what you should be doing. If you've done something wrong, then what should you be doing? You ask Allah for forgiveness. You're focusing on doing something, whereas the person who has anxiety is focusing on thinking rather than doing. And I think that's one of the biggest things. So I would recommend these two things: probability, and focus on doing rather than thinking. Inshallah. It's like a hot potato. Gotta keep passing it.
Assalamu alaikum. A question for you with regards to, our fasting. I know we fast during Ramadan, but should we also kind of take a step back from like technology and other sensories? And then the second part of my question is, for work-wise, on the nights of decree, the 10 nights of decree, and are we supposed to be just coming to the masjid on those Fridays and the 10 nights of decree? Or, I mean, how do we go about that, like with work and things like that?
So good question. So in terms of Ramadan, is the focus just on fasting, or should be fasting from some other stuff, and should be coming to the masjid and changing our schedule around? Yeah. So Ramadan is the time where Allah puts a lot of blessings in people's time, and your good deeds get multiplied, right? So this is a time where you want to be doing as much good as you possibly can do. And among the ways to do good is coming to the masjid, not just in the last 10 nights, coming to the masjid as much as you can. So there's a special prayer called the Taraweeh prayer, which is only performed in the month of Ramadan. You find also more people in Ramadan. And when you come to the masjid and you attend a congregational prayer, a group prayer, the larger the group, the more reward there's going to be. When you get to meet your brothers and sisters for like a dinner, like iftar, fast breaking, you get reward for that. When every time you say salam to somebody, you get more. So you get so many opportunities to do good. So yes, Ramadan should be the time where you try to cut down your work schedule as much as possible. Finish as many projects as you can. If you have extra vacation time that you don't need to use later on, use a week of vacation time and just focus on in that time. So yes, you should definitely increase in your acts of worship, increase in your attendance at the masjid. And like people have New Year's resolutions, right? What is special about New Year's? There's nothing special about January 1st. People just need an excuse, and it's with good intention. They need some excuse to say, hey, this is a good time to make some changes in my life, that I need to cut down on my phone, and I need to delete my social media accounts, and I need to stop, so much screen time and all of those things. Ramadan is one of the best times to use that opportunity as well, right? Because January 1st, there's nothing special about it. Just because it's cold and it's winter, it doesn't help you like get your New Year's resolutions like become stronger, right? But Ramadan does. Why? Because Allah says that He's helping you by reducing the amount of temptations in the month and by multiplying your rewards. You don't get any multiplied rewards on January 1st, but in Ramadan you do. So Ramadan is a perfect time to make changes in your life by doing more and cutting out more of the bad stuff and trying to make permanent changes. Usually throughout the year, you want to be very, very consistent whenever you're making any changes in your life. Like let's say throughout the year, you're like, I want to read more Quran. So throughout the year, you should be thinking, hey, I want to read Quran for many months. Let me start with a page a day, because I don't know if I can keep up more than a page a day. You should aim for something small throughout the year. In Ramadan, you do not aim for something small. In Ramadan, you do things that you're not planning on continuing for the rest of the year, because it's only 1 month and that month is special. So you set your goal higher, 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever it is, without the intention of, hey, I'm going to have to keep this up after Ramadan. No, you're going to do this in Ramadan, and you keep 1/10 of it, a quarter of it, half of it after Ramadan. That's fine. So yeah.
All right, perfect, inshallah. Questions? Again, we want to give a preference to our brothers and sisters that might be new to Islam. So, okay, go for Sister Rhiannon, and I'll come to Sister Claudia.
My question is, can you go over the people who are exempt from fasting and what their Ramadan should look like?
Sure, great question. So people who are exempt from fasting, children don't need to fast, although once they start hitting the age of 7, you could start doing half fast, 3/4 fast, whatever it is. They can try fasting. Once they hit the age of 10, then they can start fasting. Or if they reach the age of actual puberty, then they have to start fasting. Women during their period, they don't need to fast, and they're not supposed to fast, even if they feel like it. But they're gonna make up those fasts after the month of Ramadan is over. Somebody who's sick, very sick, should not fast, because you don't want to harm your body. Someone who has just a little tiny bit of a headache because they didn't have their coffee, or their stomach is grumbling or something like that, you should still be fasting. And somebody who's traveling doesn't have to fast. But when you're traveling, if it's fairly easy for you, like especially if you're traveling on a plane and you're going forward in time, you're traveling, east. East. You're going forward in time. Your fast is actually shorter for you. So if you're traveling to New York, you're gonna have a much shorter fast than the other people are normally gonna have while staying here. It's recommended to fast. Although for whatever reason, because you're traveling, if you didn't want to, you're still exempted from fasting. Let's see. Did I miss a category? Oh, yeah. So that falls in the sickness category. So if a woman is either pregnant or she's breastfeeding, and if she's pregnant, there's a legitimate concern either for her own health or for her child's health, then she can skip fasting and she makes up those days afterwards. Woman is breastfeeding and she's not able to, what's the term? Like basically pump and store and like freeze that milk or whatever it is. Or she's genuinely concerned that it's going to dry up because she's fasting and she won't be able to get it back and her weaning period has not gotten there or something like that. She has a legitimate reason to fast, but she should do it with proper consultation with people who are experienced in this. If she skips those fasts, she needs to make up those fasts afterwards as well.
Assalamu alaikum. My
Walaikum
name is
assalam.
Claudia. This is going to be my second Ramadan. But my question doesn't have to do with Ramadan. If my relative that's Muslim passes away, am I allowed to visit their grave or where they're buried at?
Okay. So visiting the grave of a relative who's non-Muslim is allowed. It's allowed to do that. You're not supposed to be specifically praying for mercy for them, but just visiting them because you had a good relationship with them, you're allowed to do that.
Great question. So, Shaykh, just really quickly, so on that, which Sister Claudia asked, to go to the grave of someone that's not Muslim, we can go there. Is there? I know we can't pray for them. What does one do if they go there?
Just
the grave,
you go and you remember memories, and you just ask Allah to be just with them. That's the best thing to do. And remember that Allah is just. Allah never wrongs anybody. So you can ask that.
Perfect. Another question we have, Sheikh, is, and we were waiting for you to come as well. So we ask, we try to, of course, we're blessed to have many of the local imams and community leaders, of course, the mashayikh supporting the program. So we like to get everyone's take on this as well. For those that are going into their first Ramadan, again, just by show of hands, if you can raise your hands, how many of you this is going to be your first Ramadan? You can get them high, please. Okay, so Sunday class has way more for some reason. But alhamdulillah, all thanks to Allah. For the first or second timers, they've never, let's just say, fasted for the first timers. Of course, we're trying to fast the whole Ramadan. If they're not able to fast for whatever reason, they're new to it. Like, what is your advice, your mentorship on someone that's going into Ramadan for the first time? They're trying, but they're not new to this, and it's a pillar of the faith. However, they believe in it, they agree with it. They're just not maybe physically able to, even outside of those six or those categories that you mentioned. It's just hard for them. What's your advice for someone like that?
My first advice is to practice before Ramadan a little bit, right? So try to do some half-day fasts or something like that to build yourself up. Don't wait until Ramadan and then you're trying to go for all 30 in a row. So if you practice, you could just do one day, just see how it feels, and then you take a few days break and eat, and then you try again after a few days. So one thing is to practice. Second thing is, if you're going to start fasting, it's very important to eat the right stuff and to drink the right stuff and stay hydrated. If you're one of those people who's not used to hydrating yourself properly, you're drinking, coffee and tea and soda and stuff like that, that's going to make your fast very difficult for you. So you need to start drinking a lot more water. You need to not skip the early morning pre-dawn meal, what's called suhoor. Start practicing to wake up for that. That changes your life, right? If you can wake up and you do that. And if you get invited to a party in Ramadan or something like that for an early morning meal, what not to eat, right? Don't eat samosas and don't eat sorry, man. For the new Muslims, if you've already suffered with that before, you're used to it. That's fine. So, but eat healthy stuff. Eat stuff that's going to give you energy, and make sure you drink a sufficient amount of water in the morning in order to make it easier for you. So these are some of the things that I recommend. After you do all of those things, you've done a little practice fast, you're not able to keep it, you've done the right diet and everything like that, and you're not able to keep it, then I suggest you try to keep it. Do what kids do, right? Try half a fast, try 3/4 of a fast, and try to build yourself up in the meantime. Something, even though it's not a complete fast, but because you're new, something is better than nothing. So at least try your best and don't beat yourself up because you're not used to it. So it takes time, but I would recommend at least try your best. And then if you're not fasting, at least don't eat around other Muslims so that they don't get the wrong impression or something like that. That happens to even people who have a legitimate excuse. They should not go around eating in front of other people because it just would be weird. Everyone's fasting in Ramadan and one guy walks in and he just starts eating a burger in front of everybody else. And they're like, what's this guy doing? We don't know that he's from an out of state and he just flew in and he's traveling, so he doesn't need to fast. So you wouldn't know that. So assuming it's a halal burger that he's eating, right? So it's debate tomorrow. It's a little plug there. So these are some of the things I would suggest you do, inshallah.
So the $1 million question, Sheikh. Can we eat the leftover biryani for the pre-dawn meal, for the suhoor? We're all holding our breath, Sheikh. We're all holding our breath
All right.
to your answer.
All right.
So
all right.
Musa, you already ruled out. But the
If-
biryani, man.
Okay.
Please.
If
please.
if you know you can handle it and you're ready for the pain, then enjoy it. Then enjoy it. Alhamdulillah.
That's what you call mentorship right there.
There,
mashallah.
there,
Nice
there-
and simple.
There, if you really like, if you're brave enough, there's a masjid nearby. It's called Tustin. There's a masjid called Tustin Masjid. They invented, and they only serve this in Ramadan. They invented pizza biryani.
Pizza biryani. Like
Pizza biryani.
Oh.
Yes. You know, it will kill you in the daytime, but it tastes really good.
You know, me and Sheikh Musa, we joke about this, but the reality is some people might eat that for your pre-dawn meal. And if you haven't, don't try it. But it will definitely, if you survive through the day, it's gonna give you some wear and tear on that body there. So just be cautious, inshallah. All right, brothers, gonna put us on the scoreboard. I know Francisco has any questions here on the brother side. Time is ticking away. We have Sheikh Mustafa once a quarter. Hopefully we can get him more, but he's really busy. I know he's traveling a lot. Sheikh, you've traveled recently, right? Over the last few months, or I see your podcast all over the place. I don't know if it's recent or they just uploaded
locally,
it. Or
like Chicago and stuff. Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah, locally.
It's cold there, man.
It
Is it
is
like
cold.
single digits or something?
Alhamdulillah, yeah, it's cold.
Allahu Akbar. All right, brother side.
Anything outside California is cold.
That's true. I mean, it drops under 70, we're cold. Right?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, I'm wearing a jacket. It's cold, right? So perfect. But again, we want to give a preference to our new Muslim brothers and sisters first. If you have any questions, we want to give preference to our brothers and sisters that are new first. Sis, you.
So I've been Muslim for almost 2 years. Comes Ramadan, it'll be 2 years. And I started paying zakat during Ramadan. So it's about that time again. And my question is that all my savings actually tied up in my retirement account. And because I'm new Muslim and I have acquired debt in the past. And so by paying zakat, calculating the zakat based on my retirement account, and if it causes me to go deeper into debt for paying zakat, what can I do?
Okay. So let me understand this correctly. So you have money in your retirement account, and then you also have debt to pay off. Is this debt due right now? Are you planning or able to pay it off right now? Or they're only expecting a monthly payment and there's no adjustment to the debt schedule?
Okay, so the monthly payment actually.
You don't have to say what it is. Just
Right. So pretty much my bills and the minimum payment actually wipes out my paycheck.
Okay.
So when I calculate the retirement saving for zakat, there's no way I can pay the zakat without going deeper into debt to take it out of like credit card to pay the.
But you could take it out of your retirement account itself, right? There'll be a penalty, but it'll be 10% penalty, but you can take it out, right? From the retirement account itself.
Um,
I tell you, let me give you the short answer. The short answer is if you're able to take it out of the retirement account itself, even though there's a penalty, you have to take it out and you have to pay zakat from that amount.
Okay.
If you cannot take it out and it's a significant amount of money, but it's stuck and they won't allow you to take it out for whatever reason, then you log it and you pay it the following year, and it becomes like the zakah becomes a zakah debt that you have to pay, and you keep track of it. As soon as you get enough money in your account, then you go ahead and you pay it. But you don't take on debt in order to pay your zakah because your money is locked in some account.
Okay, and the another part of the question is that because I work for the LA County, we don't pay into Social Security. So part of my retirement is actually the LASERA, which is equivalent to Social Security. So do I count that as part of my retirement?
If it functions like Social Security, then no, you
Okay.
don't.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Just looking at time, brothers and sisters, we have about probably a good 15, 20 minutes. So again, if you have any question, now would be the time. Shaykh, if I can add just one question. As it relates to zakah or the almsgiving, can you, I think for many people coming into Islam, it's really something that they're not too familiar with. Some
Give
of the
overview
technical
of zakah.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
got it.
You know me. Cliff Notes version,
I was
if
thinking
you will.
of the same.
Just
yes.
because we're blessed during your time here, we would do a Ramadan 101, and then you would add a zakat or almsgiving 101, which was really nice. You simplified it. And by the way, on that note, we're going to be having something closer to Ramadan 101, but Sheikh Mustafa has recorded, and I still use it. So you're getting all the reward, inshallah, God willing. He did a very simple Ramadan 101, kind of like the do's and the don'ts, how to go about it, when it starts, when it finishes, what disqualifies, if you will, your fast, so forth. So that link will be going out probably within the next few days. So that gives you already a month to prepare for it. But then leading up to, as you know, the last at least 3 Sundays, we were preparing for Ramadan from our Sunday 101 class. So please make sure, if you haven't seen the live stream on those classes or you're not here, go back to your chat, your feed, and just click the link. It should still be active. So just maybe a zakat 101 if you don't want.
So zakah is one of the pillars of Islam. So there are 5 main pillars of Islam. And what pillar means is basically, if you think of like a building, or you think of a table, let's say, it's the legs of the table that hold it up, right? So the pillars of Islam are the things that keep Islam firm and strong. If you remove one of them, the table is going to become wobbly and shaky. So zakah is one of the pillars. And what zakah means a mandated charity that every Muslim needs to give. Okay. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule. So what's the exception? Basically, let's summarize it like this. Anyone who has $6,000 or more in savings, they need to pay zakah. So if you have less than that, you don't need to pay zakah. If you have more than that saved up in your bank account and your cash and investments and stocks and everything like that, you're going to pay zakah once a year. And the amount that you're going to pay is 2.5% on the entire amount of money that you have in your account. So if you have $25,000 in your account, are you over 6,000 or under 6,000? It's like the easiest math question in the world. You're over 6,000. So you got to pay zakah every year. What's the amount you pay it on? 2.5% of 25,000. Or just put in 25,000 in a calculator, divide by 40, you're going to get the amount, and you give that to the poor. If that amount the following year goes up to $37,000, then you're going to pay 2.5% on $37,000. And then the next year, if that amount goes to 5,500 because you bought a really nice car for yourself, and that's okay, you don't have to calculate the car because it's not cash, unless you drive some kind of weird, I don't know. So not even going to get into that. So you own a car, and you spent all that money in a car. Now you don't have cash. You don't have that money in the bank. You don't have it in stocks. It's not an investment. Now you're at $5,500. How much zakat do you have to pay? How much? How much? 2.5% of what? 2.5% of zero, which is zero. Why? Because you're under 6,000. If you're under 6,000, you don't pay zakah. If you're over 6,000, you pay 2.5% of what you have. Got it? That's zakah. Okay. Now, when you give zakah, it's very important, by the way. So you say, okay, I got my zakah. I'm going to put it in an envelope. You see the donation box in the masjid? It says donation. So I'm going to put my zakah right inside the donation box. Can you do that? No, you cannot do that. Zakah is a specific fund that must go to poor people. It cannot go to the masjid. It cannot go for paying for the air conditioner. Because you know what? If you pay for the air conditioning of the mosque, who's benefiting from that? Are you benefiting? You just gave zakah right back to yourself. Can't do that, right? If you're like, I just gave zakah, and guess what? They're using some of that donation money to sponsor the community iftar, so it's free for everyone. And you show up and you get 2 biryanis. What do? You just ate your own zakah money. You just gave the money to the poor right back to yourself. You cannot do that. So you need to make sure you put it in the special allocated zakah section of the box. And we still got the zakah there too? So in the box, there's a donation, and then it's all this. Nia, man. So best thing, put it in the envelope and write zakah and give it to Brother Jamal, and he'll make sure it's processed the right way. All right. So zakah has to go. It comes from specific people who have over $6,000, and a year has passed, and it has to go to specific people, not just any random cause. So it's very important how you give your zakah as well. Okay.
Most of the stuff is still the same here. Right? Some slight adjustments, but just adding on that, Sheikh. I know this is a very simple one, but just because others might have questions, stocks, retirement, Roth, IRA, all these things. How do they take that to pay zakat on it? Do you just, if you can
So
just simplify
stocks,
that
for example,
Bitcoin or anything like that.
so stocks, cryptocurrency, or let's say investments in your retirement accounts, you're still going to pay 2.5% on all of those. If you have cryptocurrency, if you have Bitcoin or something, you're going to sell part of that Bitcoin or give the Bitcoin itself to people who are in need, and they will have that amount of Bitcoin. If it comes to stocks and you don't have any, if you have money left over in your bank account and you can pay the 2.5% of the market value of your stocks from the money that you have in your bank account, you do that. And if you don't, and you're like, oh, I have $20,000 in stocks, I have $300 in my bank account, I can't, pay the zakah. I need more money to pay the zakah. Then you sell some of those stocks, and then you pay the zakah from the money that you sold. When it comes to retirement accounts, it becomes challenging because sometimes you don't get access to it. But if you get access to it and you're able to access it, even if you have to pay a penalty, you do that. And you sell part of those and you pay the zakah from the money that you have. If you are not saving up enough money every year and you're putting all of it in your retirement account, next year you should probably put a little bit less into your retirement account so you can pay your zakah and you have enough liquid money in your bank so that you're not putting everything in there.
Perfect, Sheikh. Thank you so much. I'm going to take some here online, if it's okay, and some on the chat here. First question, Sheikh, asking on behalf of someone, do injections, not for nutrition, and inhalers break your fast?
Yeah, so injections don't break your fast. So if you get a vaccine or something like that, it's not going to break your fast. If you're getting glucose injected into your body, so it's nutritional, it's like hydrating you, then that is different category that will break your fast. In terms of inhalers, Muslim scholars have really differed on this issue of whether it counts as breaking or not breaking, and they're both very strong opinions. And I don't want to confuse people with too many opinions. My personal view is that I slightly lean towards the idea that it does not break your fast. Okay.
Okay, perfect, Sheikh. Thank you. Next question here is, how do we know when to start fasting and when to break the fast?
Okay, so easiest way to know when to start fasting and breaking your fast is you open up your app and you make sure that the settings are correct. So the first thing you do, some of you, what apps does everyone use? I use Pray Watch. Use Pray Watch? All right. Who uses Muslim Pro? Okay, who uses...
Is that still okay to use, man?
Yeah. I didn't want to get into that issue, but the drone picture, it looks like IAOC, man. It really looked like this machine, man. But anyways, that's a long story. What other app does anyone else use? An app on their phone for prayer? A different app? Which apps do you use? What's the name of it? Adhan. Okay, one is Adhan. Adhan Pro, right? It's Adhan Pro. There's Pray Watch. There's Muslim Pro. Which was selling our data to the US government. But anyways, that's on the side. What else? Does anyone else use something else? It's a long story. They apologize, but that doesn't really help. Anyone else use anything else? No? Okay. Well, so these are some cool apps. So one of the things you want to do, a lot of people don't know this. So inside the app, if you go on your settings somewhere, you're going to find a calculation method, right? And if you find a calculation method under settings, you're going to see that there's a calculation method for the first and the last prayer of the day, for Fajr and for Isha. And if you click on that, you're going to get a bunch of different calculations, and sometimes it'll say the degrees. So on mine, it says Muslim World League. It says Fajr is 18 degrees, Isha is 17 degrees. Moon Sighting Committee, Fajr is 18 degrees, Isha is 18 degrees. Egyptian General Authority of Survey, Fajr is 19.5 degrees, Isha is 17.5. So the one that I suggest, and I believe this masjid also follows is what's called the North American one, which basically Fajr is 15 degrees and Isha is 15 degrees. That's pretty much most people in Southern California are going to follow. And what that means is, you see, that is the most likely start time for fasting and for Fajr prayer, and the most likely time where Isha prayer is going to come in. That doesn't matter for breaking your fast. Breaking your fast is sunset. Just check any sunset time. There's no issue about that. But when it comes to starting your fast, you will find some calculation differences. And the reason is because where you are in the world is going to change the time of dawn, right? And sometimes you cannot determine exactly what dawn is. So these are all estimations. So 15 degrees is a pretty safe calculation. It'll range from 12 to 18 degrees. If you're interested in reading a boring 6-page article written by me about the details of this, you can do that. Or you could just go ahead and click on North America in your settings and go with the 15-degree calendar, which is what this Masjid IAOC is probably using still, right? Yeah, inshallah. So what you do is, let's say the time that comes in for Ramadan is, let's say, 4:37 a.m. You wake up at 4:20. No pun intended. I just randomly 4:10, right? Keep it halal. Keep everything halal. So you wake up at 4:10, you wake up at 4:15, and you start eating. You start drinking. You need to stop eating by 4:37. That means that if you're sitting there and you got like one last bite, in there, and you're like, it just turned 4:37, and you're like, let me just finish this last, half of the banana or whatever it is. No. 4:37, you put your food down and you stop. Swallow the food that's in your mouth before the time comes in at 4:37. But yes, you can eat all the way up until 4:36 and 59 seconds, and then you stop. All right. So make sure you give yourself enough time. And then when sunset comes in, as soon as the time for sunset comes, you break your fast. When you break your fast, it's recommended to break your fast with a date or 3 dates. These are the fruit dates. Okay, not again, we say keep it halal, right? It's not going on a date with somebody. So you eat date, and if you don't have a date, then you drink some water and you break your fast. And if you don't have water, have whatever you can. It's important to break your fast on time. So if you're going to be driving somewhere, you're driving home in traffic, and that's when the sunset time is going to come in, bring some water with you or a date with you in the car, right? The fruit date with you in the car, right? And then break your fast while you're on the road when the time comes in, inshallah. People can misquote, man. He's like, Shaykh said, bring your date with you in the car. Okay.
I mean, we are live on YouTube right now, so
So,
I can totally see that. Allah bless you. Another question here, Shaykh. Thank you so much, by the way. Really appreciate it. Allah reward you. I hope everyone is having a good time. Shaykh Mustafa is someone who can really simplify things, and we really appreciate that. Thank you. Next question here, Shaykh, is if it's already time for the dawn prayer, the Fajr prayer, and I didn't do the ritual bath, can I still continue fasting, or do I need to make up that fast?
You can still do it. So the thing is, whether you have wudu, whether you need to take a bath or something like that, if the time comes in and you stop eating, your fast is fine. If you sleep in, this happens to a lot of people. They're like, okay, I'm going to put my alarm 4:37. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to wake up 20 minutes earlier. Put my alarm for 4:15. And you wake up at like 8:30 a.m. And you're like, I missed everything. I missed Fajr. I missed everything. You're like, oh man, my fast is over. No, it's not over. Did you eat? Since dawn came in, did you eat? Unless you eat in your sleep. I don't know. Did you drink? No. So you're fasting. And you keep going, and you're gonna be fine. Even if you skip morning breakfast, you're still gonna be okay. So yes, your fast is perfectly valid, whether you've made that morning bath or not in time, whether you've prayed or not. I mean, you should be praying. Whether you ate anything or not, your fast is still valid, as long as you didn't eat or drink anything.
And the ritual bath, of course, just to clarify, that's just for a
Ritual
sister.
bath is when you have intercourse, you have intimacy between two people, they need to take a ritual bath. That's one reason. And the second one is, if a woman is menstruating and her menstruation is done, then she needs to take a ritual bath as well. So these are the two things where they need to take this, what's called ghusl, this shower, basically bath, where they clean everything, wash your hair, wash everything before you can pray. So the key is, you need to take this bath before you're allowed to pray. Wudu is not enough. But it doesn't say before you can fast. It's only before you can pray. Yeah. That's a common cause of confusion for some people. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sheikh. We appreciate it. Next question here, Sheikh, if you can help us out. During Ramadan, I usually take pain meds at suhoor, during the pre-dawn meal, to prevent any severe migraines for the first few days. Since pain meds are considered drugs and alters my state, does it invalidate my fast?
So, no, pain medication does not invalidate your fast if you take it before the fasting starts. Yeah. So even though, there is some effect it has on your mind, it's not like it's making you drunk, right? So it's not like alcohol or intoxicants or something like that, and you're not consuming it either beforehand. So no, it does not affect your fast or break your fast.
Perfect. Last one I'll take here, then I move the mic around. Just want to make sure that the online audience has that opportunity as well. Assalamu alaikum. What is the penalty if someone breaks their fast during Ramadan because they snap, they lose their temper, basically? Does that break or invalidate one's fast? And if so, is there a penalty for that?
So it's similar to using bad words. So if somebody loses their temper and they start getting mad and they're shouting and screaming and doing all those things, it takes away from the reward of your fast. But it doesn't break your fast in the sense that you need to fast again and you need to make it up or something like that. You ask Allah for forgiveness and you try not to do that again. So anger takes away from the reward of your fast, but it doesn't technically break your fast such that you need to do another one.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
My question is for the if I'm a new Muslim and in my house there is no Muslims and they prepare food, but they prepare it with pork. How can I, if I'm fasting and they don't know that I'm fasting and they're making pork, how can I approach them and tell them that I'm not gonna be able to eat that food? If they don't know that I'm a Muslim.
So your family doesn't know that you're Muslim. Yes. Got it. Are you financially dependent on them? You're not. Okay. So can you tell me a little bit more about the reason why you haven't told them? Are you afraid that there's going to be backlash and they're going to be mad at you and they're going to do something to you?
Because they're Christian and my sister husband is a pastor.
Okay. So you're afraid that they might do something to you?
No, this is just like a general question for the new Muslims.
Okay.
But if I was in my house, yes, it will be that they're Christians. They don't know that, that I'm a Muslim.
So let me answer two things. So and I mentioned this in the book, Welcome to Islam. So if somebody is not financially independent from their family, and if they become Muslim and their family, they have a very good suspicion that their family hates Islam and that their family is going to persecute them and like take them in the corner and start torturing them and kick them out of the house or all that stuff, and you're completely dependent on your family, you don't want to put yourself in that kind of situation. So it's better in that case that in the beginning, for a while, you don't tell them that you're Muslim. If you're in that situation and you're dependent upon them and it's going to really become difficult if they start persecuting you and making life difficult for you, then if they insist on, you try to make some excuse. If they insist on you eating something or they insist on you, breaking your fast, but they don't know you're fasting, then you go ahead and you do it, because you're going to be weighing between two things. If you're really going to get kicked out of your house, you don't have anywhere else to go, you don't have a support system, whatever it is, and you're like, it's this versus breaking my fast and eating something, and they're putting pressure on me to eat something, then you're allowed to pick this one. If that's not the case, and you're not financially dependent on them, but they're going to be like, we're very disappointed in you, and we expected better, and they're going to say some mean things. But the mean things it hurts. There's no doubt it hurts. But it doesn't hurt to the extent that you're kicked out of your house and you have nobody, right? It's just, they're just going to be upset. Then you go ahead and you tell them and you say, I cannot eat. And if they insist, then you just go ahead and say, I'm fasting. And if they say, Hey, did you become Muslim and this and that? Then you say, you know what? Okay, I have. You know what? That would be a good reason to tell them, because basically you have to calculate for yourself what's the level of discomfort that you're going to face, and everyone faces different level. So if they're going to be like, oh, we wish you hadn't done that, that's not that much discomfort. They're like, you're such a disappointment, you're a failure to us, we can't believe we raised, and they're going to see some very, very mean things, but the discomfort levels like this, you can handle it. Inshallah, with the help of Allah, you can handle it. But if you're going to get kicked out, or they're going to come and like threaten to try to physically like attack you, that's a discomfort level of this, right? That's when you want to make the exception and say, you know what? I have an exception to the rule to break my fast. You have to figure out which category you're in by throwing out some questions, talking to other family members, just kind of feeling what the environment is like, and then you can decide for yourself. And Allah knows. Allah knows your circumstance and your situation. Just be honest with yourself and be honest with Allah.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allah.
That's the first set of excuses you tried.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
But you see, if you did that, they won't buy it. They'd be like, this guy, he needs to eat more, man. So some people it'll work, some people it won't work. Yeah.
أشهد أن لا
permissible fast what? Fast nafil? In school? Did you say in school? Use the microphone. Without suhoor. Oh, okay. This in school. Can you do optional fasts without suhoor? You can do Ramadan fast without suhoor. But I think maybe what your question is, do you want to wake up early in the morning for that pre-dawn meal in Ramadan and extra fast outside of Ramadan? Yes. You want to do it for both. But is it still valid if you don't? Whether it's in Ramadan or outside of Ramadan, it's still valid.
I want to follow with the
أشهد
zakat
أن
question.
محمد
This is given easy number, right? Let's say this year I'm
رسول
giving $1,000. I just want to make sure that you said just put in an envelope, put it in a box, and that was my plan. And just do like $300. Let's just say $1,000. And $300 to the zakat department. And let's say I have $300 cash. I give to a homeless person or someone who's in need or something.
Okay. So let's say you have $1,000 of zakat to give, and it needs to go to poor people. And you say, I want to split it up. I want to have the masjid distribute half of it for me, and half of it I'm going to go distribute it myself. Right? Can you do that? You can absolutely do that. There's one caveat that you got to keep in mind. Zakat is only being collected from Muslims, and therefore it only goes to poor Muslims. You can give charity, general charity, what's called sadaqah, to anybody. It doesn't matter what their religion is. But for zakah, because Muslims are paying it, it goes back to only poor Muslims as well. So you want to make sure that if you find someone who's a Muslim, homeless on the street, absolutely you can give it to them. But if you don't know that they're Muslim, then you have to make sure you find somebody who's Muslim for zakah specifically.
So you have to what's the safest way for like a new Muslim, just like a foundation, just give it to the masjid, right?
Safest way is, I would say, just give it to the masjid with the label zakah on it in an envelope, and they will handle it for you. Well, basically, they're going to find an organization that goes and distributes to poor Muslims in the area. The easiest thing is to let them do it. If you know another organization, like let's say Uplift Charity comes in Ramadan, every Ramadan they're going to come and they're going to give like a spiel. Hey, we help people in the community. You can give your zakat to us. You can give it to them in an envelope too. It's the same thing. If you give it to IAOC, they're going to hand it to an organization like Uplift. If you see Uplift yourself, you can just skip one hand and hand it to them directly. It ends up being the same thing. Yeah. Okay. No.
Salam, Shaykh.
Salam.
So if somebody is in $100,000 debt, but they have $50,000 in savings, are they still like, are those really savings?
Yeah, good question. So the thing is, there's two types of debt. There is a type of debt that is due right now. And then there's long-term debt where the person is not asking for it back and they're saying, we want you to make payments over 10 years. If you are in a debt where they're asking for your money, the money right now, and you're intending to pay the money right now, you should be using the 50,000 that you have to pay off that $100,000 debt, and you're left with just enough for groceries. Usually, the situation you described to me, it's long-term debt. Long-term debt means that you're keeping your 50,000 in the bank account. No one is saying, hey, we want the 50,000 right now, and then you keep on paying. You just keep on paying your monthly payment. Long-term debt is not subtracted when it comes to zakah. So you have to pay zakah on that $50,000 every year because the other person not asking for it. So long-term debt is not subtracted when it comes to zakah. Only debt that is due right now. And debt that is due right now, whatever money you had, they would be coming and collecting. They'd be like, hey, sell your car and start giving us some of the money back. That's debt. That's like, imagine like the gangster style debt, where like they send the hitman to you and they'd be like, you know what, Jimmy over here, he's come to collect. And if you don't pay him, he's going to do something to you. So that kind of debt gets subtracted. It doesn't affect your zakah. It doesn't affect your zakah. No. But you should try and get out of that immediately. So if there's interest being collected on the debt, you should try to pay that off as early as possible if you can, so that you don't keep on compiling more interest.
All right, we got to call it a session there as prayer is coming close and the next group has to move in. Please give it up for our dear Shaykh, our beloved Shaykh Mustafa Umar.
I feel like a celebrity now.
Yeah, man, we're ready to get the books. We're ready to get the book signed. Again, for those of you that joined us after the introduction, I can't speak enough about Shaykh Mustafa, and I don't want to break his back by praising him, but me personally, he's mentored me. When I first started here a little over 8 years ago, subhanAllah, I'm already over 8 years, it was someone like Shaykh Mustafa who kind of advocated for this position, because at that time when he was starting the university, there was still this growth within the outreach and new Muslim support, and we needed to kind of fill that void in the community. And this community, to be very honest, is one of the few, if you agree, Sheikh, in the whole nation that actually has a program like this that is both outreach, da'wah, and new Muslim or convert care. It's one of the few, and Sheikh Mustafa is one of those that really pushed for this position as well. So also, he spent 10 years here, 10 years, man. 10 years as an educational and outreach director, prison outreach director. Again, he's the author. Those of you that came in late, those 2 books that you get, the How to Pray and Welcome to Islam, they're written by somebody named Mustafa Umar. Oh, this is a Shaykh Mustafa Umar. You actually get to see him right now. He's actually in the book itself, right? When you're doing the wudu, I think. So he's like really famous, like globally, right? And again, his books have reached
low budget. We had a low budget.
It's a low budget, but look at the fruits of the effort, though. And so many people, because of those books that you simplified for people that are new to Islam, breaking down the prayer, I think in 3 phases or 3 stages, you really made it easy for so many people. So may Allah reward you and bless you. Thank you so much for your dedication to this community. If I may, on behalf of the community, just wanted to thank you for your sacrifice, because I work with you under your supervision, and I see how I thought I was working hard. No way, man. You try to keep up with this man here. Allahu Akbar. It's like 7 days straight. I was like, Sheikh, I got a clock. I got to go, man. But he's like, don't worry about it. I come back. He's still there. He'll beat me to the office. He'll leave after the office. So may Allah reward you and bless you. Thank you so much, Shaykh Mustafa Umar. It's always a privilege and honor to have you. Thank you very much. And again, sorry, I didn't mention he is, of course, the religious director. Or maybe purposely I didn't mention it, but he is the religious director at Irvine Mosque, ICOI. He's the imam over there, inshallah, because we want him to come back over here as well. But may Allah reward you and bless you. It's a phenomenal community there. They've just acquired some new property there as well. The community is expanding very much over there, and that's really a good sign. And I'm sure they're very happy to have you. It's a loss for our community, but we're all very happy for you that you made that transition over there. Inshallah. May Allah bless you, ya Shaykh Mustafa. All right, brothers and sisters, just really quickly, some announcements. Please stay with me. On this note, all of you have this little flyer in front of you. Can you guys just kind of like check it out for me real quick? It's this man that's right here in front of us, and of course, Sheikh Tariq Atta, both of them who are, of course, supporting our program. They're going to have a very friendly debate. It'll be a friendly debate, inshallah. Halal or dhabiha. It's going to be really interesting. It's not going to happen here. Remember, it's at the Meridian. The Meridian is this new fitness center that the masjid has acquired. So you want to make sure you go there. Registration is required, so you'll just find the registration information there. There's a lot of vendors that are already going to be over there. Some of them you see on the bottom there, like Kanafa Queens, Street Tawa. You have Chamia, Habibi's Tacos, Boba Fai. There's many different vendors that are going to be there. I'm assuming it's going to be a really good turnout. That same debate was done, not the same one, but the same style, if you will. Was it like at least a decade ago?
It was
With
like
you and Sheikh
about
Taha?
8 years or something.
Yeah, 8 years ago, and so 8 years later, alhamdulillah, we're having part 2 with the different speakers as well. So please, if you haven't as of yet, make sure to register. It's from 4 to 9 p.m. Tomorrow. So this is tomorrow. So please make sure to visit the Meridian Center there as well. Also, remember, Sunday is Social Sunday. Sunday is Social Sunday. So again, if you're on the fence, you haven't registered as of yet, the second Sunday of every month is a social activity. We have Islamic Jeopardy. It's a Ramadan twist. So just preparing for Ramadan. So if you haven't registered, please make sure to register. We're catering the food. It's going to be tons of fun. I understand it's the Super Bowl. I get it. 49ers or Chiefs? Chiefs? Okay. There's like one person that's okay. Shaykh, you're into football or?
I'm with her. I'm
Who
on
cares?
Her. Yeah, I'm on her.
I agree with you. So please make sure you come then for Social Sunday. We still wanted to have it here, of course, and I'm sure, a number of people have already registered. So if you haven't registered, please make sure to register. We'd really appreciate it, inshallah, God willing. Please don't forget about a little donation box we leave here for our classes. It helps us to offset the expenses. So if you can kindly think of contributing, we appreciate it. It's a little QR code. You can scan that and you can help us out as well. They'll be really nice as well. I wanted to also just kind of let everybody know we're blessed. And again, to Sheikh Mustafa and everybody that's supporting the program, just since Thursday, we've had about 6 people that became Muslim just here at IIOC, just over the last week or so. It's almost like every day or every other day we're having people embrace Islam. And those are here. We're also getting a lot of referrals from a wide network community that are they're accepting in other places, but they're coming here as well. So Sheikh Mustafa, to you and to all the mashayikh, our local scholars that are supporting the program, we really appreciate it.
I send a lot of people here.
Yeah, I know. we get them too. So they come here. So we really appreciate it, because for us, what you see right now, this right here, this is very important. I think many people, they miss this. The family atmosphere, the breaking bread together, just asking the easy access to scholarship. These are, again, as I mentioned, when we had Sheikh Farhan, Sheikh Mustafa's good friend as well, he was here on Sunday. These are speakers that are like nationwide on like different conferences and conventions. We're lucky to have them in the backyard, meaning in our locality. So really take advantage of it every week as best as possible. And finally, of course, we're going to pray at 7:30 in a few minutes. The Girl Scouts have a program here tonight, so we have to put all the tables away. If everyone can help me out, tables, we have racks on both sides. The chairs, we need to keep them because they need them. I just asked the chairs, because they're going to be facing this way with the screen. We'll just put straight lines for the chairs, please. So straight line for the chairs. We'll put the tables away if everybody can help me. And again, please keep our volunteers in your prayers. They do a phenomenal job week in and week out. Sheikh Mustafa, Umar, as usual, may Allah reward you and bless you, my Sheikh. May Allah bless you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys very soon, inshallah. Please don't forget, Social Sunday on Sunday. Don't forget to register. Deadline is tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.